Sharon Pratt, born January 30, 1944, formerly Sharon Pratt Dixon and Sharon Pratt Kelly, is an American attorney and politician who served as the third mayor of the District of Columbia from 1991 to 1995. Pratt was the first African American woman to serve as the city's mayor. Though she campaigned and was elected and inaugurated mayor as Sharon Pratt Dixon, on December 7, 1991, she married James R. Kelly III, a New York businessman, and changed her name to Sharon Pratt Kelly. After their 1999 divorce, she resumed her maiden name, Sharon Pratt. Personal life. She was born to D.C. Superior Court Judge Carlisle Edward Pratt and Mildred Peggy Petticord Pratt. 3 years later, a sister, Benary, was born. After she lost her mother to breast cancer at an early age, her grandmother, Hazel Pratt, and aunt, Amy Elizabeth Pratt, helped raise the girls. Pratt attended D.C. public schools Gage S., Rudolph S., McFarland Junior High School, and Roosevelt H.S. 1961, with honors. She excelled at baseball but de-emphasized that in adolescence. At Howard University she joined the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority 1964, and earned a B.A. in political science 1965. She received a J.D. degree from the Howard University School of Law in 1968. She met and dated her future husband there. She married Arrington Dixon in 1966 and has 2 daughters, Amy and Drew, born in 1968 and 1970. They divorced after 16 years. Former Def Jam A&R executive Drew Dixon is her daughter. Career. Initially her political energies were drawn to national rather than local politics. She was a member of the Democratic National Committee from the District of Columbia, 1977-1990, the first woman to hold that position. She was DNC Treasurer, 1985-1989. At the 1980 Democratic National Convention, she was a member of the Ad Hoc Credentials Committee, member of the Judicial Council, and co-chairman of the Rules Committee. In 1983, she was made Vice President of Community Relations at Pepco, the D.C. electric utility. She became the first woman and first African American to serve in that role. The same year, she won the Presidential Award from the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. 1990 Mayoral Election. Main article. Washington, D.C. Mayoral Election, 1990. Upset with the decline of her hometown, Pratt announced at the 1988 Democratic National Convention that she would challenge incumbent Mayor Marion Barry in the 1990 election. Pratt was the only candidate to have officially announced her plans to run for mayor when Barry was arrested on drug charges and dropped out of the race in early 1990. Shortly thereafter, the race was joined by longtime council members John Ray, Charlene Drew Jarvis and David Clark. Pratt criticized her 3 main opponents, referring to them as the 3 blind mice, who saw nothing, said nothing and did nothing as the city rapidly decayed. She was the only candidate who called on Barry to resign from office, and ran specifically as an outsider to his political machine. Citation needed. Following a series of televised debates during the last few weeks of the campaign, Pratt received the endorsement of the Washington Post. The day the endorsement appeared, her poll numbers skyrocketed, with many political observers attributing the rise specifically to the Post's backing. On the eve of T. He election, polls showed councilmember John Ray holding the lead, but Pratt gaining ground fast and a large margin of undecided voters remaining. However, even with the smallest campaign staff and least money, Pratt won the election, defeating second-place Ray by 10%. As Washington is a heavily Democratic city, her victory over Republican former police chief Maurice T. Turner Jr., in the November 6 general election was a foregone conclusion. She was sworn in as mayor of Washington on January 2, 1991. Consulting. In 2003, Pratt was awarded a $235,000 contract from the District of Columbia's Department of Health to be the city's main contact with federal Homeland Security agencies. The contract also calls for her to investigate improved communications and technology to protect the district from bioterrorism. Pratt was required to meet with senior federal officials and write a report on potential opportunities, especially resource sharing agreements. She was also required to look for additional funding sources. Pratt's firm, Pratt Consulting, does management consulting and works with federal, state, and local agencies and nonprofit groups.